Oh, come on. You happy now? Okay, so we have had a good gallop around in the arena with our saddle on. Son's rider. So I'm not going to have to do too much warm up. My God, my arm is sore. If you don't know why my arm is sore, then have a look at the earlier videos that I posted, the live one. Oh man, I've basically taken all the skin off the inside of my elbow. And as it's warm out here, the sun cream and sweat is starting to sting a little bit. And coupled with the sand that's flying around, it's going to be a bit nasty in about 20 minutes. So, as she's already been galloping around for 10 minutes, I'm not going to do too much more with her. I just want to make sure now that she's settled and happy, and it's also about 1 billion degrees here today. We don't seem to have too many flies, which is really good. I'll pop it. So, if you haven't seen any of Avalon's previous videos, I'll just give you a whistle-stop tour. She's 4 years old. There's not much more to say, really. She's 4 years old. She's by Opposition Bombshell, who stands at Capaston Stud. He's amazing. Now, she had a wolf tooth removed maybe 3 months ago now, and she's still a little lumpy on the right hand. So on the right rein, we do a lot to push her over into my left hand, just so she doesn't rely on that right rein for balance, because she would much rather do that. And on the left rein, we use a lot of outside leg to just kind of basically kick her off that rein a little bit, while still encouraging the contact to always be soft and forwards. I don't want to be pulling her off that rein at any point. It's just not going to work. Now, hopefully I can record the audio with these nifty little in-ear speakers that I've got. If not, then you'll just be hearing a load of music right now. So I'm going to pick her up into trot. Oh, Jesus, that arm is stinging like hell. Good girl. I'm going to pick her up into trot, and we're just going to, oh, come on, old lady shoulders. I'm just going to work her on a circle, and then do a little bit of leg yielding to the outside track, just to get her off that right hand a little. We are forwards today. Hey, hey, hey. So straight away, she's really pulling on that. So I'm just going to keep that rein high and forward, and I'm just giving and taking and giving, because I want her off it straight away, because she's really quite resistant on that rein. There's no point me doing nothing with it. If I do nothing with it, she's just going to want to look to the outside. Hey, hey, hey. So inside leg, higher inside rein. As soon as she gives, good girl, I'm going to give. So I'm literally pulse, 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 pulse. Good. By keeping the rein that little bit higher, pulse, pulse, pulse. I'm just using the bit on her lips rather than the bars of her mouth. It's much more difficult for her to pull on that than it is when she can put something solid behind it. Good girl. And then into 2 reins. Good girl. Come on, sit up, sit up. Good. So that quite strong bit of resistance, although I know that's a term that's relative. We can deal with that quite quickly in the beginning. Good. Now, she hasn't been sat on in a week, so I was kind of expecting that. And it's good that you can see a 4-year-old working from this position. So you're not always seeing something polished or something that I've been working for 20 minutes and then, hey, hey, hey. So up, look, inside rein higher and pulse, 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 pulse. And then she softens. Good girl. She's not quite as forward as I want her. It's okay, we'll have that back in a minute. Good, get over. Good. A couple of steps of leg yield into 12.5 meter circle. Good. Inside rein still high. I've got a tiny spur on her, and I've not had to touch her with it yet. It's not there to make her go. She's really good off the leg. It's way steady. It's there to make my leg lighter, if anything. Good girl. Circle again, inside rein, up, up, pulse, good. I'm trying to encourage her to take the rein down and out, but she won't take it down and out while she's looking to the outside of the arena. Good girl. So now we're in 2 reins. So now, rather than pulsing the rein a few times with every stride, I'm still, and I can refine that movement down to a whisper. So literally, I'm hardly moving the contact when she's still. And then I'm going to just half halt. Good. Circle. Good girl. So now I'm going right, a bit stronger with the leg. So I'm leg into that nice still hand. Good girl. Good girl. And I'm going to walk her. Oh. Transition wasn't brilliant, but that's okay. Good girl. Come on. That's a good girl. We'll make a change of rein. And we'll just repeat that on the other rein. But obviously we have the opposite issue there. She wants to look to the inside all the time and take my right hand around. It'd be really easy to confuse that with bend. It's not. It's an evasion. She's pulling my hand and she ends up almost motorbiking. So, up, up, up. Good girl. So I'm going to be quite strong with my right leg to support her. I'm going to keep it not too far behind the girth. It's going to be there to support and to just kind of tap her off that hand, which I'm a little bit high if she starts to pull on it. But I'll refine that communication down to a whisper. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, isn't it? Riding is just a combination of stop goes, and how we get those stop goes and changes in pace. We want to refine that to the smallest movement possible. So part of our training is going from the go on, trot on, good old boot. Okay, please don't lynch me for that. I'm clearly exaggerating. But then it goes down to a movement that's barely perceptible. That should be the aim of training. If you're still flapping your legs about a Grand Prix on your horse, maybe there needs a little bit of refinement. But hey, steady. Okay, so she's pulling that hand straight away. Steady. I'm going to bring her back to a walk because she's pulling me full stop. And a halt. Good. Good girl. Walk on. I am not putting her into a contact. So not at any point today am I asking her to do the hideous expression, bring her head in. I'm not asking that. All I'm asking her to do is not pull on me. And to hopefully just take the contact forward. So we're always thinking about forward stride, forward contact. Good girl. How she feels in my hand is really important. Where she puts her head and neck at this moment, as long as it's straight, that will take care of itself. So a little bit higher with that hand on the corner. Yeah, that's good. So I'm outside with my outside rein. Good girl. Smaller circle. No, too much bend. So outside leg. Giving that inside hand. Good. I tend to revert to tractor position when I'm on a young horse, and she's no exception. So I have to constantly think about my body. Over. Good girl. My shoulders. And how that's having a positive or negative impact on her carriage. And if I'm doing my typical habit of bringing my shoulders too forward, it doesn't do much to help her balance. So I have to constantly think, shoulders back, steady, over. Because also, if you're on a young horse and your shoulders are too forward, if it whips round, which they do, you are going to be on the deck. There is no way you can combat inertia from that position because you're not strong. Good girl. Okay, outside leg. Good girl. Up. Good. This is really nice. Considering 5 minutes ago she was doing the wall of death in here and she hasn't been sat on in a week. I'm really happy. Oh, actually, no, she did hack last week, but she's not been in the arena pretty much since. Good girl. Since next gen. Good. So now let's see if we can get a stretchy trot. So if I give her the contact, I want her to do exactly what she's doing here. Good. So in the next gen test, it's a really nice 4-year-old test. After her canter, after her canter work, we have to do a stretchy trot. And that was a bit weak for us last time, so we are practicing going from in the frame here, so where she's very comfortable here now, to her coming forwards and just being a bit more open. Good girl. There's a lot of trust for them to come down and do this. Makes them very vulnerable. And it's a different type of balance. They have to really come up through their tummy and use themselves in the same way that a rider, when they give the reins and ride properly into a forward hand, you have to engage your core. It's a two-way street. You can't have one without the other. Good girl. So I'm going to pick her up. Good girl. Good girl. You notice I'm not having to do too much with my outside rein now. Just the occasional little check. Good girl. She's lovely and straight. She just thrown her ass in. That's fine. Let's stretch now. Good girl. Right, I'm going to ask for a canter in a second. And then I'm going to try and get a stretchy trot after. If we can get that, I'm happy with that today. It's really hot. Good girl. I'm keeping her quite loose and forward. She's motorbiking a bit on this rein, she does. So that was not a very good idea. Oh, it's okay, good girl. Check, outside rein, check. Not on both reins, check, outside rein. That's a good girl. I want her forward, and I want my body to be what now? I'm going to bring her onto a small